What's up, YouTube? So before we get started with this video, on First Take, they're going to be talking about the game this weekend between the Dallas Cowboys and the Philadelphia Eagles, and who's under the most amount of pressure, Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz. So let's see what they have to say about that.
Who individually is under the most pressure in the Cowboys-Eagles showdown?
Dak Prescott. When Ezekiel Elliott doesn't perform, it's because there are injuries on the line or they didn't feed him enough, or it's rarely that he'll get criticized because we know he's great.
I agree. I think it's Dak Prescott, too.
Jason Garrett, everyone knows his job is probably gone, and he has to, at least get to the Super Bowl, right? If not, win it. You look around, Carson Wentz got his money. You can look around and single out reason. Dak Prescott is looking to get paid like an elite quarterback. However, they have a franchise tag they can slap on him. Well, you think they're just going to let him walk? No, I don't think they let Dak walk, but they can maybe not make a long-term investment or commitment to him, slap a franchise tag on him. He don't want that. He wants his guaranteed money, I'm quite sure. He is under the most pressure. They just got their first win against a decent team in the Rams. They were at home. Here's the divisional rival. It's for the division. We all knew all along it was going to come down to this against a team decimated by injury, who just by the skin of their teeth got by Washington. Dak Prescott is under the most pressure in this game.
Believe it or not.
So I definitely agree with that. I think Dak Prescott is under the most amount of pressure for the simple fact that he's still trying to get paid. He still hasn't got his bag yet. So just off of that, he's going to be under a ton of pressure to win this game. And also, if he were to win the NFC East and take that, that'd be great bargaining chips to take in with him when they're talking about his contract. And if he can maintain and keep the Cowboys above 500, finish the season off above 500, that'll definitely be even more bargaining chips when they start talking about contract time and signing up for his contract. So definitely, I have to say it's definitely Dak Prescott. Carson Wentz, he's already paid. He already has his money. So if things don't quite work out, he's going to be okay. And he's locked down for a long time. So again, it's got to be Dak Prescott's under the most amount of pressure, because not only does he have pressure to perform at a high level because he's trying to get paid, but also he has to win just for his team, just being a player. Just being a player, you want to win in advance and definitely keep your team above 500, if not anything better, if they can do better this year. So definitely, it's got to be Dak Prescott. So let's continue.
Max, I'm going to say it's Carson Wentz primarily because of the kind of things that you've had to say about him, combined with the fact that he's got his money. At some point in time, when we look at the Dallas Cowboys, okay, listen, I can sit up here and joke about the Dallas Cowboys all I want to because I can't stand Cowboy fans. I don't have anything against the Cowboys. That my hatred for Cowboy fans is where it's really at. But when it comes to Dak Prescott, I'm very, very serious when I truly say I want this brother to get his money. I don't like the fact that he's on the football field playing for $2 million right now when the dude is worth $28 to $30 million easy. I don't like it. I'm not comfortable with it. I hate watching him play sometimes because I'm literally scared that something's going to happen to him
before he gets
his money. And I don't like that one bit. So I'm rooting for him to get his money. In the case of Carson Wentz, I don't have to because he already has it. He's the franchise. And although I've continuously chronicled, what kind of disadvantage he's been playing with because his weapons are out, his three-star weapons, Aguilar, Jeffries, Deshaun Jackson, all out and what have you, and what he has to work with. This game is so pivotal that you got to show up in this game. This is the kind of game where you have to find a way for your will to be imposed to such a degree that you can literally pull it out. Because no matter what happens to the Philadelphia Eagles the rest of this season, they beat the Dallas Cowboys this Sunday. I'm telling you right now, the city of Philadelphia is going to look at Carson Wentz in a different light. There you come up with this victory. This could sit up there and assuage all concerns. This could eliminate a lot of the vitriol that people want to throw in his direction. And what I'm saying is, you take that into consideration. At the end of the day, you look at Carson Wentz, it's about getting it done. You look at what he's working with, you look at what he's working against, you figure it out, and you go from there, because Dak Prescott has a multitude of weapons and a multitude of excuses in the event that it doesn't get done. Kellen Moore, play calling. Jason Garrett, what you allow. Do you give Ezekiel Elliott the ball enough? Oh, by the way, defensively, with your linebackers being suspect from time to time, are they going to show up, etc.? There's a whole bunch of question marks about the Dallas Cowboys.
No, so I would say that makes it even worse for Dak Prescott because he does have a lot of weapons, definitely more weapons than Carson Wentz. So Dak Prescott's main issue is his head coach, Jason Garrett. He's a trash coach that does trash play calling. So that's really kind of the only thing that Dak Prescott really needs to overcome. And again, it's kind of bad because Dak Prescott is trying to get his money. He has a lot more to lose than Carson Wentz. Because if Carson Wentz loses the NFC East, that'll just be another year that they lost, because I do believe the Cowboys won NFC East last year. And so if Carson Wentz loses, then it's just another loss. He still has money. He's still getting paid. But if Dak Prescott loses the NFC East after they won it last year, so he's going to miss out on money. He's definitely going to miss out on money. And it's kind of bad that the Cowboys are trading this way, because everybody knows the next quarterback to sign the next contract in the league is going to be the highest paid quarterback in the league. And now it's Dak Prescott's turn, and they're trying to screw him over. Granted, do I think that he's a top 5 quarterback in the league? Nope. I don't think he's a top 5 quarterback at all. But he works for a Dallas Cowboys system. He can get the job done with them. And if you see that they're sitting at 500 right now with the trash coach like Jason Garrett, just imagine what will happen if they get a good coach in there. So definitely, I think, you got to give Dak Prescott his money. He's under a ton of pressure, and you got to give him what you owe him. Because who else are you going to get? You're going to bring somebody else in there and have to relearn the system and all that? Dak Prescott fits into the system. He's not a top 5 quarterback, but he works well with the Dallas Cowboys, and he's under the most amount of pressure to win the NFC East. So let's continue.
No,
I'm just saying.
No.
Go ahead.
No, Stephen A. Listen, Carson Wentz has every excuse you can possibly have for a quarterback. And even with that, the last 2 weeks, he's figured out ways to get wins, whether you want to say it's the New York Giants, the Washington Redskins, and these teams aren't good. He found ways to get wins on game-winning drives, one to tie the game in overtime, tie the game and go to overtime, win it in overtime against the Giants. He got a touchdown yesterday against the Washington Redskins to an ex-quarterback who was on the practice squad earlier this season over Josh Norman. Carson Wentz has proven that he can play. Carson Wentz has proven some of that pixie dust that many of us thought Nick Foles had when he was with the Philadelphia Eagles was more than necessarily the rest of the team playing well and Nick Foles fitting in. And it wasn't that Carson Wentz couldn't do these things. And when I look at Dak Prescott, I believe Dak Prescott has done enough, whether it's to get $40 million or $35 million, I'm not sure, but he's shown who he is as a quarterback. This is about Jason Garrett, because Jason Garrett had the unfortunate experience of having the real Dallas Cowboys show up to play the Los Angeles Rams. That's the team that Jerry Jones thought he assembled coming into this year. That's the team and the roster that Jerry Jones paid good money for that said he thought that they could win a championship. And they showed up on Sunday, even after the Mad Clapper didn't make sure that they understood how to handle the coin toss. They didn't put that on Dak Prescott. Much of the chatter was about Jason Garrett not having his team prepared for one of the most simplistic rituals in football. And so now your team goes out and they ball. You do the right thing and you lead with the run, not the stretch run. You go right at the team you're playing, at the Los Angeles Rams. You make sure that Aaron Donald's taken care of. Michael Brockers is taken care of. The defense plays well. We see the old Sean Lee. And so now, while playing a depleted Philadelphia Eagles that has no weapons on the outside, they're missing their leading rusher. The quarterback is trying to find ways to pull rabbits out of hats each and every week. You can't go lose this game.
Yeah, I'm thinking they can't lose this game either, because the Dallas Cowboys have way more weapons than the Philadelphia Eagles. And again, I think Dak Prescott is pretty much playing for his life. He's playing for his livelihood, because if he doesn't win this game and they lose the rest of their games, he won't get as much as money as he probably would have if he wins out the rest of the games. He wins the NFC East. He keeps his team above 500. He's really playing for his life, and that amount of money is life-changing that he's trying to fight for. And if he doesn't win, he doesn't put in work, he won't get that. Carson Wentz is under that type of pressure. He's not under life type of pressure. So, like I said, Dak Prescott is under life type of pressure outside of football with money for him to live on. And he's under pressure just as a football team, as a football organization. You have people depending on you to win. So Dak Prescott is definitely under way more pressure than Carson Wentz. So let's continue.
Ask you this question because I think it's a philosophical difference here, because I don't disagree with any of the points that you make about Jason Garrett. They're very, very valid. But what I would ask you is this. if you have a guy that has been handed the franchise, and then it's a game of this magnitude, doesn't that matter because you've been handed the franchise at that particular point?
I think it matters, but you also have to realize the only reason that this game does matter is because of Carson Wentz's play of late. Because Carson Wentz has found ways with Arcega-Whiteside, with Greg Ward, with Boston Scott, all of these names that we don't even know. Even Zach Ertz is injured yesterday against the Washington Redskins, and he's found ways to win these last two games. He's the only reason they're in position to win this game and take over the NFC East. And when you were mentioning some of the excuses that Dak Prescott will have, Carson Wentz has those. These excuses we're making for Dak are manufactured because we believe certain things about Kellerman.
Well, I don't know if they're necessarily manufactured, but Jason Garrett is definitely a big issue. When you have a head coach that can't make the proper calls at the proper times, that's a huge problem. And you don't want to get into overriding what your head coach tells you to do, what your boss tells you to do. That's why it's kind of hard for Dak Prescott, and he's kind of getting screwed over. His money is really being affected by Jason Garrett because he doesn't know what he's doing, which is affecting the team and wins and all that. So I think Dak Prescott's under the most amount of pressure because they definitely underperformed. I definitely thought they were going to be sure in to make the playoffs and go deep in the playoffs with the amount of talent that they have on their team. It's just one element. It's just terrible, and it kind of ruins everything. That's why I think Dak Prescott is definitely under the most amount of pressure. So let's continue.
Leave certain things about Jason Garrett. The roster that Carson Wentz is playing with right now should not even be on the field with the Dallas Cowboys come this week.